Good morning. Today we will be discussing the histology of the tongue and the tonsil. Tonsil you have already done in the lymphatic tissue. Then we did the lymph node, spleen, thymus and the tonsil. So let's start with the tongue. Tongue is the present is a muscular organ, which is mostly the mass of the tongue is formed by the striated musculature. It has two parts. The body is forming the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, and the end, distal end, is the apex, and there is a root of the tongue where it is attached to the oral cavity by the root of the tongue. So you can see there is a central septum in the tongue and the apex, the two lateral borders, and this is the root of the tongue. Between the anterior two-third and the posterior one-third. The anterior two-third is lying in the oral cavity, while the posterior one-third is present in the oropharynx. There is a sulcus present, V-shaped sulcus, which is open anteriorly, and just behind the tip of the V, there is a opening which is called as the foramen cecum. And the elevations which you are seeing in front of the sulcus, they are the papilla present on the tongue. These are the valate papilla. And behind the sulcus, you can see some more elevations like mulberry things. These are the lingual tonsils which are present on the dorsal aspect of the tongue. What we are seeing here is the dorsal surface of the tongue. And there is a ventral surface. Dorsal surface is rough, while the ventral surface is smooth. The rough because of the presence of the papilla on the dorsal surface. We have this is a filiform papilla, the fungiform papilla, the foliate papilla and the valate papilla. Their position, the filiform papilla are present along the sulcus terminalis. They are placed along parallel to these sulcus, while at the tip they are placed transversely, and the foliate papilla, they are present on the lateral border of the tongue more posteriorly. This is showing the histological slide of the tongue, which is showing both the dorsal surface and the ventral surface. The dorsal surface, as I told you, is rough, rough due to the presence of the papilla on the dorsal surface, and the ventral surface has the same lining as that of the oral cavity. It is smooth. There are no papilla you can see present of the epithelium on the ventral surface. When you compare on the dorsal surface, the roughness is because of the presence of the papilla. Papilla are nothing but projections of the epithelium with the central core of lamina propria, or the connective tissue. So when you draw the diagram of the tongue, you have to draw both the dorsal surface as well as the ventral surface. So we have the papilla on the dorsal surface. These are the four different types of papilla, but here in this picture you can see the fungiform papilla, which have the blunt apex, and the filiform papilla are projections which have keratinized as well as non-keratinized part of the projection epithelium, while on the ventral surface, stratified squamous epithelium, which is non-keratinized, as seen in the oral cavity. And there is the musculature all around is the skeletal muscle, and this is the glands which are present, both mucous and serous glands present along in the substance of the tongue. These are the four different types where you can, under high power, you can differentiate now. This is the filiform papilla, which have got the projection of the keratin, and this epithelium is the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. This part is keratinized, and in between the core or the papilla of the connective tissue, like that of the skin, where to attachment of these papilla to secure the attachment of the papilla. So these are the fungiform papilla, which have got the blunt projections like mushrooms and a stalk below, and there are few taste buds present in the fungiform papilla. The another commonly play is the most important is the circumvallate papilla, which have got the broader apex and a narrow stalk, or the broad towards the lumen and narrower towards the connective tissue, and surrounded by the valley, that is why valley or a trench or a cleft, that or another name for it is like a moat. They are surrounded all around by the cleft or the valley depression, which has got the lateral wall. On these two walls, the medial as well as the lateral wall, there are taste buds present. Maximum number of taste buds are present on the vallate papilla. Foliate papilla are less developed in the human beings. They are like leaf-like. Folia means leaf. So they are leaf-like with divisions in between. So that is why they are called as foliate papilla, and they have around 1 to 2 taste buds only. They are not lesser as compared to the fungiform even. The filiform papilla are maximum in dogs because they eat their food by licking only, and they help in licking, like for ice cream or anything, when you lick is done by the filiform papilla. They, out of the 4, they don't have filiform peculiarities, they don't have any taste buds. This is just to summarize the characteristics of these papilla. So most numerous are these filiform papillas. Smallest of all the 3, conical in shape and arranged in rows, diagonal rows, except at the apex where it is arranged transversely. There are keratin provides rough surface of the tongue, and there are no taste buds. So that is about this. Fi is showing the filiform papilla. This is the fungiform papilla, and in the fungiform are fewer than the filiform, and they're larger, round shape, deep red in color. Why they are red in color? Because the connective tissue, the lamina propria, which is forming the core or the stalk of the fungiform papilla, has lot of blood vessels. There is plexus of the capillaries as well as blood vessels are present in the core, which gives it a red appearance, deep red color because of the blood, while the epithelium is thin over it and blood vessels are seen as the deep red color. That is why they are seen as the deep red color on the tongue. The foliate which are present on the posterolateral border of the tongue, they contain fewer taste buds but are not well developed in the human beings. Then this is SS is the this is the example of the vallate papilla, circumvallate papilla. You can see the cleft all around. This is the connective tissue, and these are the taste buds, which you can see the lighter areas. We'll see it again in the next slide more clearer. Fungiform, I have told you, deep red color and contains less of taste buds, rounded in shape. Filiform were conical and less in number than the filiform. Circumvallate papilla surrounded by a valley or a depression in which, this is another name for the depression or the cleft, is the moat, present in the moat, and have lot of taste buds, around 8 to 12 taste buds in each papilla. This is the connective tissue, and you can see the cleft clearly now. And this is the filiform papilla. These are the muscle fibers, and LP is the lamina propria, which is extending into the papilla. We're all talking about the dorsal aspect of the tongue, which is there is all the which is a rough surface made by this presence of these papilla. And opening into the cleft, we have the glands, serous glands, which are also called as the von Ebner's glands. And muscle fibers are running in all directions. In between the muscle fibers, in between the connective tissue, we have few mucus glands also in the tongue. This is the section passing through the serous glands, and simultaneously in the deeper part, you can see the striated muscles in the longitudinal direction. This is striated muscle cut transversely. So we have the muscles which are intrinsic muscles running in all the directions, transverse direction, longitudinal, and as well as antero-posterior. Now, this is club shaped, is the fungiform, and the filiform papillas. These are projections, conical projections from the epithelium, keratinized at their apex of the cone. This is a cleft. You can see these lighter areas. If you can make out, these are the taste buds, and this is the connective tissue. You can identify the tongue itself by presence of these clefts on the sides of the circumvallate papilla. So this is the whole thing is the circumvallate papilla. These are the two walls of the cleft. On both the walls we have the taste buds. In this you can still higher magnification. You can make out these lighter areas. These are the taste buds. This is a different stain has been used for because the taste buds contain the neuron cells, which are modified neuronal cells present in the epithelium. We have the places where the neurons are present in the epithelium. One is the example is the taste bud. The other example is the olfactory epithelium, where the neurons are present in the epithelium. So opening at the depth of the cleft are these serous glands, which are called as the von Ebner's glands. They are responsible for the removal of the food particles which they get stuck onto the taste buds. So to continue the feeling or to the taste, different tastes, serous secretions remove the food material very fast, and lot of serous secretions, they help in the diffusion of the chemical, because these are the chemical receptors. Taste buds are the chemical receptors, and the serous glands are functioning as continuous change of the receptors surface by washed off The taste is washed off by the secretions of these von Ebner's glands. So this is a taste bud, which is an H&E stain, and this is part of the foliate papilla. Here you can see the taste buds have got 3 types of cells, and there is a pore, apical pore or the taste gustatory pore, which is surrounded by the 3 different types of cells. One are the sensory cells, the other is the supporting cells, and third is the basal cells, which are acting as the stem cells. Let us come to these cells. So this is the lingual epithelium, and they are forming an arch, barrel-shaped arrangement of these cells. So surrounding it peripherally, we have the sustentacular cells, which on their apex have got lot of microvilli, which are called as the taste hairs. And the sensory cells are those cells on which or the gustatory cells are placed in the core of the barrel, and where they receive the gustatory fibers from the nerves which are responsible for the taste. This is a taste bud along with the diagrammatic representation. You can see this is the taste pore, surface epithelial cells, and on the sides is supporting cells or the sustentacular cells. The purple one are the sensory cells, and towards the base or towards the connective tissue, lamina propria, we have these fibers which are coming from the taste fibers, bringing the afferents and the efferents are going from here. So this is the taste pore. On the taste pore, we have the microvilli, and there is a space along which all the microvilli are getting together and forming a trench kind of a thing where these meet and give rise. The superiorly is the taste pore. So on the sides, supporting cells, sensory cells, and this is a nerve which is forming plexus along the sensory cells, and the basal cells are acting as basal cells are acting as the stem cells, which give rise to the responsible for the wear and tear of the cells. They give rise to the newer generation of the cells. The anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, we'll come to this is the different directions. Below that, we have the fibers which are in the tongue. There are intrinsic muscles and extrinsic muscles. Intrinsic, they have the attachments, both the origin as well as the attachment onto the tongue itself. Extrinsic are attached somewhere else and get the second attachment in the substance of the tongue. So we have the fibers running in different directions. The longitudinal fibers, the transverse fibers, and the fibers running from anterior to posterior. So these are the 3 different types of fibers, which are skeletal muscles coming intrinsic. They belong to the tongue itself, and extrinsic attached to the periphery and somewhere else and get attached onto the tongue, like hyoglosses, genioglosses. Genioglosses coming from the mandible, hyoglosses coming from the hyoid bone. So those are the extrinsic muscles. Palatoglosses, all those are the extrinsic muscles. Before going to the tonsil, the taste buds which were present in the tongue, they are also can be seen in the epiglottis as well as on the soft palate, on the lingual surface of the palate, and they are also present on the posterior wall of the pharynx. So we have they are fewer in number but are present in these three different situations, locations also, like soft palate, pharynx, and epiglottis. And the nerves responsible of the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, the nerve is the cauda tympani, which carries the taste fibers, which is a branch from the facial nerve. And that is supply ultimately will join the lingual nerve, and the general sensations are also from the trigeminal nerve. Lingual, which is a branch from the mandibular, sensory branch of the mandibular. So the anterior two-thirds is supplied by the cauda tympani, and the posterior one-third is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. The valate papilla are supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and lingual anteriorly, the cauda tympani. So we have the 7th, 9th, and the posterior most part of the tongue is supplied by the vagus, which is posterior most part, which is coming in the oropharynx, is supplied by the vagus nerve, internal laryngeal branch of the vagus. So three nerves, we can developmentally this can be correlated. The nerve supply of tongue can be correlated developmentally also, because these three parts are coming from three different arches, pharyngeal arches. Anterior two-thirds by the cauda tympani, branch from the facial. Posterior one-third by the glossopharyngeal, and posterior most by the vagus, internal laryngeal branch of the vagus. That is about the tongue. So just to summarize, it has two surfaces, dorsal surface and ventral surface. Dorsal surface is rough, has got 4 different types of papilla, and filiform papilla is devoid of taste buds. The other 3, foliate, fungiform and circumvallate, have got taste buds. Maximum number of taste buds are present in the valate papilla, and the muscle fibers are in 3 different directions. Opening into the cleft of the valate papilla are the von Ebner's serous glands, which help in the taste, rapid change of the taste. These taste fibers, actually these receptors, are the chemical receptors. At the tip we have the sweet taste, posterolaterally is salty, and when we go more laterally towards the foliate is sour. So at this tip is sweet, posteriorly and laterally is salty, and sour is more laterally. So when we take the tablet, we try to put it posteriorly, that becomes more dangerous because you feel the bitter taste at posterior aspect. So these are chemical sensations which are activated by the G proteins. And the receptors are coupled receptors. You can taste both bitter, sweet, and umami is another taste, which is a mixed taste. But on the taste buds on circumvallate, bitter and umami is the most distinguished taste. That finishes with the tongue, and now the tonsil, which is just a revision for you. We have 4 different types of tonsils. One is you will be given is the palatine tonsil. Lingual tonsil, I told you, in the posterior most part of the dorsal surface of the tongue is the lingual tonsil or the adenoid. The pharyngeal tonsil is on the pharynx, oropharynx, we have that is called as the adenoids. Lingual tonsil on the dorsal aspect posteriorly is the lingual tonsil. Palatine tonsil is between the two arches, palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arch. There is a tonsillar fossa in which lies the palatine tonsil. I hope if you can distinguish. The other place where we have is the tubal tonsil. This is a sagittal section of the head and neck. So this is the nose, this is the tongue. So if we trace posteriorly, there is an opening present, which is the tubal opening surrounding auditory tube, lies the tubal tonsil. The elevation is formed by the cartilaginous part of the auditory tube, and overlying it is the tubal tonsil. So these four tonsils together, the pharyngeal posteriorly, the two tubal tonsils, pharyngeal in the pharynx and lingual on the dorsal part of the tongue, and palatine tonsils on the sides. So these four together, they form a ring around the neck that is called as the Waldeur's ring, which you will be taught in your gross anatomy also. So we'll discuss this is actually the slide of the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, where you can see this crypts and the lymphatic follicles, which are the lingual tonsils. This is the lingual tonsils present in the tongue posteriorly. This is the slide of the palatine tonsil, which are present. So the epithelium of these four different tonsils, pseudostratified is in the tubal and pharyngeal, and stratified squamous non-keratinized is for the lingual and palatine tonsil. So when you see the tubal and the pharyngeal slide, that will be lined with the pseudo-stratified squamous epithelium, while the lingual and the palatine are lined with the stratified squamous non-keratinized, and invaginations are called as the crypts. So this is the lingual surface. This is the oral surface of the tonsil, where we have the crypts. They represent the developmental remnants from the pharyngeal arch. They are developing from the the pouches, and this is the crypts represent the remnants of these pouches. And crypts are surrounded by the follicles, which are rounded collections of the lymphocytes, which have macrophages, plasma cells, as well as B and T lymphocytes. And in case of infected tonsil, you can see the germinal centers if they are present in the cases of infection. There are four components in the tonsil. You can see the lymphoid follicles with germinal centers, which lie in rows parallel to the connective tissue septum. And the mental zone with closely packed small lymphocytes. This is a mental zone. This is the part of the follicle. The lighter area is the germinal centers, which you have also seen in the lymph node, which have the lymphoblasts or the plasma cells and few dendritic cells, germinal centers. So in the mental zone, which closely packed B lymphocytes are present, these are nearer to the mucosal surface. So mental zone is nearer to the mucosal surface. Then we have the extrafollicular lymphocytes, which are associated with high endothelial venules, which are the circulating lymphocytes which enter from the circulation into the tonsillar parenchyma. Then the fourth zone which you will come across is the lymphoid tissue present in the crypts. That is the reticular epithelium, which contains B cells and cells which produce IgG and IgA. These are the mature plasma cells and T lymphocytes plus antigen presenting cells and numerous capillary loops in the substance of this region. You can see this striated muscle below which is forming one of the walls of the tonsillar fossa. This is the mucosal surface. The tonsil is lined with the thin capsule this is the muscle from the palatoglossal or from the palatopharyngeal arch. So this is, I'm trying to say, the eccentrically placed is the mental zone with P lymphocytes, then extrafollicular lymphocytes with T lymphocytes associated with high endothelial venules, lymphatic follicles lie in the walls of the crypts. This is the crypt, and lining this crypt, the lymphoid tissue present in the reticulated epithelium has got three different types of cells: T and B lymphocytes and antigen presenting cells, which produce IgA and the IgG antibodies. So these are which line the lymphoid tissue lining the crypt with the reticulated epithelium. So the other glands which are associated below are the mucus as well as the serous glands. These are the glands present. If you see a slide of tonsil, so you can distinguish with the presence of the epithelium, as well as there will be the striated muscle fibers and mucus and serous glands. So this is one of the crypts showing the three lymphoid zones: mental zone, reticulated zone, follicular zone, and few dispersed lymphocytes which are present along on the periphery of the lymphatic follicle. And the other feature is the lining stratified squamous epithelium. So you can distinguish tonsil from the thymus or lymph node. Now this is just at the end. How would you differentiate between the thymus and the tonsil histologically? In the thymus, we have the cortex and the medulla, and the medulla was the cortex and the medulla, which is continuous in each lobule. They are not completely separated, they are partially separated. Like if you see a toast sandwich, it has a filling. So medulla is like a filling and the cortex is like the toast which are present above and below the sandwich. Now this was the thymus, which has cortex and medulla. The tonsil has epithelium and crypts, which are the distinguishing features. Only the tonsil will show germinal centers. The tonsil will show germinal centers when there is an infection. Infection of palatine tonsil is called as the tonsillitis. So all of these statements, they hold true for the tonsil and thymus. They are correct. These are actually how to distinguish between this tonsil and thymus. That is, then we can, there are other clinical conditions associated with the tongue. One is the hairy tongue or pigmented tongue. Pigmented is because of the constant continuous, when the people eat like tobacco or any other thing, continuously the tongue gets stained because of these papilla, filiform papilla and the fungiform papilla, they take up the stain. So it appears colored, or black tongue or brown or whatever color they take. Food color is absorbed by these dorsal surface. Then can be a fissured tongue, which is congenital. So there are multiple fissures present on the tongue. Then there are other conditions, macroglossia, microglossia, but we not consider at the moment. Just we concentrate upon the histology of the tongue. Okay, any problems you can ask me. I hope you have understood. Thank you for your patient listening.